My medical career is overshadowing my sister. Now my parents want me to change my name. Hi everyone, today's story is truly unbelievable. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support really helps keep the channel going. Let's get into it. I'm a 30-year-old male doctor, and I never imagined I'd be sharing something like this. But here we are. I'm looking for advice on what might be the most unexpected family request I've ever received. For context, I graduated from medical school 2 years ago, and recently completed my residency in internal medicine. It was a long and challenging journey, but I finally built a solid career at a respected hospital in my city. My parents were supportive throughout my studies, helping financially when they could, though I took out significant loans to cover most of it. My younger sister, Emma, 28F, chose a very different path. She's been passionate about acting since high school. She's talented and dedicated, but like many people in the entertainment industry, she hasn't had her big break yet. She's done some community theater, a few commercials, and had small roles in independent films. Her career hasn't progressed as she'd hoped, but she continues to pursue it. Our family has always been fairly close. My parents tried to support both of us equally. They attended my white coat ceremony and Emma's performances. I've always admired her determination and believed we had a strong sibling bond. That changed, or at least became complicated recently. My parents invited me over for dinner, which wasn't unusual. Emma was there too. Everything was normal until my mom cleared her throat and said they wanted to discuss something serious. "We think you should consider changing your last name," my dad said, completely straight-faced. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. My mom explained that Emma was having a hard time getting roles and building a name for herself in the acting world. According to them, sharing a last name with a doctor in the same city was overshadowing her career. When people searched our last name online, my professional profile was the first thing to appear. They believed this was somehow affecting her visibility and chances of standing out. Emma needs to build her own brand, my mom said. Having a successful doctor in the family with the same last name makes that harder. I was speechless. I looked at Emma, expecting her to laugh it off, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. She mumbled that it would really help her if I considered it. They even came prepared with name suggestions. They said I could use my middle name, or come up with something totally new. I told them I thought the request was completely unreasonable. My name is tied to my medical license, professional reputation, and identity. Changing it would be a complex, disruptive process. And more importantly, I shouldn't have to alter who I am just to help my sister's career. The dinner ended awkwardly. My parents were clearly disappointed, and Emma looked upset. They urged me to think about what's best for the family. I left feeling confused and honestly hurt. Am I being unreasonable here? Has anyone else ever faced something like this? I'm trying to understand their perspective, but this request feels incredibly one-sided and disconnected from reality. I don't want to damage my relationship with my family, but I also can't imagine making such a huge life change for this reason. Update: the family petition. It's been about a month since that dinner, and I wanted to give an update. Unfortunately, things have only gotten more complicated. About a week later, I reached out to my parents, hoping for a more reasonable conversation. I told them I understood Emma's frustration, but changing my name just wasn't an option. I even suggested that Emma consider using a stage name, which is extremely common in her industry. At first the conversation seemed to go well. My parents listened, and my dad admitted their request might have been a bit much. I left feeling cautiously optimistic. That optimism didn't last. Yesterday, I got an email from my aunt, my mom's sister, expressing her disappointment in me. I called her confused, and she told me my parents had contacted the entire extended family, explaining the situation and asking them to support Emma. They'd created a family petition urging me to change my last name for Emma's sake. I was stunned. They had reached out to grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, essentially everyone in the family who shares our last name, and told them I was refusing to make a simple change that could help Emma's career. They made it sound like I was being selfish and putting my ego ahead of her future. The petition had over 20 signatures. Update: the family petition continued. I called my cousin, who confirmed everything. He hadn't signed the petition, but had seen the document. It included a detailed explanation of how my growing medical reputation was causing algorithmic interference with Emma's online presence, and how changing my name would be a minor inconvenience for me compared to the significant career benefit for her. I was speechless. Not only had my parents dismissed my concerns, but they had also mobilized the entire family against me, behind my back. I tried calling my parents, but they didn't answer, so I sent a message expressing my hurt and disbelief. My mother replied that they were just trying to build family consensus, and hoped it would help me see the bigger picture. Later that evening, Emma called me. For the first time, she directly asked me to change my name. She claimed she had recently lost a role because a casting director Googled her, and was distracted by the results that featured me instead. She didn't explain how she knew this was the reason, or why a casting director would even care that she had a doctor for a brother. When I once again suggested that she consider using a stage name, a completely normal practice in her industry, she became upset. She said it would erase her identity, and that staying authentic was essential to her artistic expression. The irony of asking me to erase my identity apparently escaped her. I'm at a loss. The pressure from my extended family is intense. I now receive daily texts urging me to do the right thing. My parents still aren't speaking to me directly. Instead, they communicate through other relatives. Emma has become increasingly emotional. She insists my refusal is actively harming her career. I recently consulted with a hospital colleague, who specializes in physician wellness. She was deeply concerned by the situation, and recommended I seek professional counseling to help navigate the stress and family dynamics. I've taken her advice, and scheduled an appointment. As of now, my decision remains unchanged. I will not be changing my name. I've also decided to limit contact with my family until they're willing to respect my boundaries and have a rational conversation. I've made it clear that the petition was deeply inappropriate and hurtful, and that further pressure will only damage our relationship. Update 2. The social media campaign. It's been 3 months since my last update. I wish I had better news to share, but things have only gotten worse. After the family petition incident, I significantly reduced contact with my parents and Emma, only communicating when absolutely necessary. I hoped that with time and space, the situation would cool down. I was wrong. 2 weeks ago, a colleague approached me at the hospital, and asked if I was aware of what my sister was posting online. I wasn't. I had muted her on social media after the petition drama, to avoid added stress. What I found shocked me. Emma had launched what can only be described as a public campaign against me. She created a series of emotional videos and posts across multiple platforms, claiming that her doctor brother was sabotaging her acting career by refusing to change his name. She never explicitly named me, but she included enough personal details that anyone who knew us could easily identify me. In these posts, she portrayed herself as the victim of a vindictive, jealous sibling. She accused me of using my privilege and success to overshadow her, and even implied I had always resented her artistic talents. None of this is true. I've supported her career for years. I've attended her shows, offered encouragement, and even helped her financially during tough times. The narrative she crafted was completely fictional. Ironic, considering her profession. Worse, the post started to gain traction in our local community. Several of her theater friends commented in support, condemning my selfishness. A local arts blog even picked up the story, running a feature on family dynamics in artistic careers. Things escalated when my parents joined the campaign. My mother posted a long statement about how disappointed she was in me for not making one small sacrifice to help my sister. My father shared Emma's posts, adding that some people forget what family means once they find success. I was blindsided. I've spent years carefully building a reputation in the medical community, and now I was being publicly painted as a villain. While most of my colleagues have been supportive, a few have asked awkward questions. I've even noticed whispering when I enter some rooms at the hospital. After consulting with my therapist and a trusted mentor, I realized I had to act to protect my professional reputation. I reached out to a defamation lawyer. He agreed that I likely had grounds for a case, but also warned that a lawsuit would escalate things and draw even more unwanted attention. Instead, we drafted and sent a cease and desist letter to both Emma and my parents. The letter demanded that they stop making defamatory statements about me, and remove the harmful content. It clearly outlined how their actions could damage my career, and that if they continued, I would consider legal action. Their response was swift, but not in the way I hoped. They removed the most overtly accusatory posts, but they doubled down on the emotional narrative. Emma posted a tearful video saying she was being legally threatened by her own brother for speaking her truth. My parents called, not to apologize, but to express their disappointment that I had brought lawyers into a family issue. When I explained that they made it public, they insisted they were just supporting Emma and accused me of being overly sensitive. Then the truth behind all this started to come out. Emma had recently auditioned for a major role in a regional theater production. She was convinced she would have landed it, if only her Google search results didn't show my medical profile first. There's no actual evidence for that, just her belief that my presence online is the one thing holding her back. Final update, 6 months later. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I debated whether to share this final chapter. Ultimately, I decided to post it in case it helps others who are navigating similar family dynamics. The situation with my family did reach a conclusion, though not in the way anyone might have expected. After the social media campaign and the cease and desist letter, things escalated before they finally began to settle. Emma, unable to gain further traction with her original narrative, changed strategy. She began suggesting to mutual acquaintances that my ego was the reason she couldn't succeed, that I was using my medical power to silence her voice. The turning point came about 3 months ago. Emma auditioned for a role in a medical drama that was filming in our city. She didn't get the part, but not because of our shared last name. According to a friend who works on the production, the casting director was concerned about her social media presence, which by that point was filled with emotional posts about her battle with her doctor brother. They were worried that casting her might lead to on-set drama, especially in a medically themed role. When Emma learned this, she was devastated, but instead of reflecting on how her actions may have contributed to the outcome, she blamed me more intensely. A few days later, she showed up at my hospital demanding to see me. She caused a scene in the lobby, yelling and insisting I fix the situation. Security had to escort her out. This incident forced the hospital administration to take formal action. They implemented additional security measures and documented the event thoroughly. My department chair called me into her office, not to reprimand me, but to express concern for my well-being. She reassured me, "Your professional reputation here is solid, your patients respect you, your colleagues value your work. Don't let this situation make you doubt that." Her support meant more than she could possibly know. In the midst of family rejection, that validation of my professional identity was profoundly meaningful. Ironically, it was that incident, the very public outburst at my workplace, that seemed to shock my parents out of their campaign. The next day, my father called, not to apologize, but to suggest we all take a step back. He proposed a family meeting with a mediator to help us resolve the situation. Where things stand now, I declined. At least for now. I told him I was open to reconciliation, but only if my boundaries were respected and my autonomy acknowledged. I made it clear I would not participate in any process that framed me as the problem or tried to guilt me into changing who I am to accommodate someone else's ambition. Since then, contact has been minimal. I've blocked Emma on all platforms and asked mutual friends not to update me about her posts or activities. My focus now is on healing and damage control. I've had open conversations with hospital administration, who've continued to be understanding and supportive. My professional standing remains intact, and therapy has helped me begin processing the betrayal from the very people who were supposed to have my back. I've also started exploring the possibility of relocating to another city. It's a big decision, and I'm not rushing it, but the idea of a fresh start in a new environment is appealing. For now, I'm concentrating on my patients, my mental health, and building a new support network, one made up of people who value me for who I am, not who they want me to be. Final update continued. Standing my ground. I declined the proposed family mediation, explaining that I needed time and space before even considering any form of reconciliation. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected email from my mother. It wasn't quite an apology, but it did acknowledge that the situation had gotten out of hand. She said they had always tried to support both of their children, but felt Emma needed more help right now. She didn't address the petition or the social media campaign directly, but suggested we try to move forward as a family. I replied that moving forward would require acknowledgement of the harm done, and genuine apologies, not just a desire to sweep everything under the rug. I haven't heard from them since. Where I am now. Professionally, things have stabilized. The whispers at the hospital have stopped. My relationships with patients remain strong, and recently, I was offered a leadership position within my department, which I accept. The new role has brought an unexpected benefit. My professional profile has expanded. Now, When people search our last name in connection with medicine, they see my work, not my sister's narrative. Personally, I've made some big changes. I decided not to relocate after all, but I did move to a different neighborhood within the city. I've also established firm boundaries with extended family. I've made it clear that I won't discuss Emma or my parents, and while some relatives have respected that, others have chosen to distance themselves. That's okay. I've built a new support network, through colleagues, my therapy group, and by reconnecting with old friends who aren't entangled in the family drama. These relationships have been genuinely healing, showing me what healthy support actually looks like. On changing my name, as for the original issue, the suggestion that I change my name to help my sister's career, I've come to understand something important. My name represents more than just a family connection. It's tied to my professional identity, to the oath I took, and to the patients who trust me. Changing it would have felt like surrendering something fundamental about who I am, so I didn't. Final thoughts. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with my family. The door isn't permanently closed, but reconciliation would require real changes, a deeper understanding of boundaries, and a commitment to mutual respect. For now, I'm focusing on the parts of my life that I can control, my profession, my well-being, my relationships with people who value me as I am. The irony isn't lost on me that this all began with a request to change my name, to support my sister's ambitions. In the end, it was her own actions that damaged her prospects far more than sharing a last name with a doctor ever could. If I've learned anything from this experience, it's this. Sometimes preserving your identity requires difficult choices, including stepping away from people who ask you to diminish yourself for their benefit. Thank you to everyone who offered support and advice throughout this journey. Your perspectives helped me maintain clarity during the most confusing and painful moments. And for that, I'll always be grateful.